Hey, Derek. All right, good job on doing more panels, describing the action. I like that. So let's get into what's going on here. Well, you sure like to do these start offs, these establishing shots of buildings. That's fine. So here we are. We got a building. Zoom in, and you are bad. So we have the boss talking with the kid. Now, I was looking through these shots. It seems like everything was shot in a warehouse. Like there's just so much space between the big guy and the little guy. Um, yeah, even in the kitchen. So let's work on the staging there. This first shot, I'd like to see you do something like this. Let me get rid of this other assignment. Hold on one sec. Okay, so I'd like to see you do something like this. Here's your shot. Let's pull that opacity down a little bit. Let's put your boss here and the little guy here. Closer. So the boss is filling the frame, the little guy is small in the frame. Now you can put your ceiling or something here if you wanted. I like what you did with the door in the other shot. You could put that there. You could do that. Or that's another type of shot. Let's keep our framing here. Something like this where you've got the guy's desk and here's the little guy. And you have the boss here and his cup of coffee. Well, his empty cup of coffee. And this way you would establish that the boss is drinking coffee already. And then he could be holding up the paper for the little guy to look at. Let's see, we need to fix this coffee cup a little bit more. Let's put that more over here. Alright, so here's a little guy sitting at the desk. You could do something like that, and then because Big Boss is in the foreground, you would shade this up to show that. I just think you need to open up your staging a little, be more imaginative with it. Fix this now. This kind of thing to really show how the boss is not happy with his employee. You could do this. You could put little guy in the foreground and boss is shoving the paper in his face, which shows, oh, he's really getting up in this guy's grill. Something like that. Okay, back to the story. And what are you waiting for? I think you would just hold on a shot of the guy just sitting there, because here he's already gotten up. Sorry, sir. Go get me another cup of coffee. So from this shot, if we were to do that, then you could do this. Boss is holding his bad report in his face, and then he brings in his hand with the coffee mug. So he's got two things in the guy's face. Like, you really are a loser. Go fill me up some coffee and get me another write another report. All right, so here you want to avoid having to write something in the panel, or you have salt and sugar. Because if someone's looking at your thing and they don't know how to read, they might not get the gag. What you can do there is you can make a different shape. If you ever see the sugar in an office, they look like, sugar container is usually this kind of shaped, where salt is this sort of a thing. You could do that. This staging also, I would suggest that you do this type of a thing with it. Here's your counter. Whoops, that's a crooked counter. Here's your counter, your sugar, salt, and little guy, pouring the coffee. He's bumming out. And you could have the doorway here. You could have, boss's office here. You could have boss sitting here if you wanted. And to make the difference in depth, since this would be a flat staging, you would throw some shading on it. So things closer to you are typically darker. And since this hallway is mid, that would be lighter. And the very background is the big boss, So there's that idea. Then when the boss yells at him, you could, let's see, I'll just get rid of that shading for now. When the boss yells at him, then you would have little guy, oops, turn and look, puts the coffee down, the pitcher, and he's got the mug over here. Then he could absentmindedly reach for the sugar over the salt. And I like the idea of what you did there with that. Pours it in the coffee. Runs off. This panel here, try something like this. Put your little guy here, and he's holding the coffee out to the boss. Here, boss. And then you put boss large in the frame. Oh, he's got, what has he got? Like a funny nose, so let's try that. Funny hair. Alright. So you break it up a little bit. Your big guy is the dominant one. He needs to fill more of the frame. You got him handing the coffee. That's what I'm talking about. He drinks it. Spits it out. The old classic cartoon spit take. Maybe you could spit it in little guy's face. I don't know. And little guy by this time has run away. So this shot, it's because your horizon is so high up, but it looks like the guy's running up a hill. take the same shots that you have, and let's put your boss here. You have the door here. And, you know, little guy is trying to escape. He knows better than to stick around because he's like a little guy, you know. Horizon 9 is a little high. You don't want to. You want to try and avoid that kind of thing. Picks up the thing. He throws it. All right, this panel here would work better on a profile. It looks like he's reaching up in the air for the cup. But if you had done this type of a thing, or he throws the coffee mug, that's clear, like, whew. And you would even need like an A/B panel. So he's got the mug. Turn this one off. So that was our first one. This is our second one. So you can see one, whoops, 1, 2, whew, throws the coffee mug and breaks against the wall. The little guy can't do anything right. Back to the beginning. All right, so you know your setup was clear. The boss is mad at the kid, writing bad reports and telling him to get his coffee. The staging is what really needs some work here, and your thinking behind deep space, flat space. Think about why you would make those changes. In that clip of The Incredibles that I showed you, we mostly are flat when Mr. Incredible's talking to Mr. Huff because it's boring. He doesn't like the boss. But when something exciting happens, like the mugging outside, Mr. Incredible looks, and now we've introduced deep space. So think about that on this assignment. Why would you have flat and why would you have deep space? What's the story reason behind that instead of arbitrarily doing it? I'm not sure that you arbitrarily did it, but I'm having a hard time following the thinking behind the different styles of shots. And tighten things up. Don't be afraid to have a guy's head cut the frame. Example in this one with big guy, the boss. Make him bigger in the frame, really imposing. If this is his hair, his head could cut outside of the frame. He's really like, little guy, bring your horizon down, lower. Don't have these super high horizons. Then you could have little guy like, oh no, boss, it wasn't me. Something like that. You just get more interest for your eye. So, I'm anxious to see your next assignment. Now that's it for this critique.